One of the things that we have seen as a common trait of people that aren't succeeding is that they focus on too many things. It's impossible to do 5 things at the same time well, and people right now are pointing to somebody next to them. And there's a little bit of self-analysis going on, but we found that to be a common trait. If you can do one thing well and you know specifically what to do when you leave, that will be a major accomplishment. And then the only thing you'll have to do at that point in time is to get started, which is the second thing that leads to many failures. Paralysis of analysis. People wondering whether I should do it or not. Why not do it? That's one of the reasons we brought so many people here that are already successful, is so you can interface and network with these people, but you can start to build relationships. And that's what this whole thing is about, is you will meet people, and that's why people come here live rather than the people sitting at home watching this or listening to this. That's why you come here live, is to meet people that are already succeeding and doing extremely well and continue to interface with them. We'll also have a great deal of people from our company here tomorrow that will also be able to help you in the next 6 months get going. But it's our objective to make sure that you know exactly what to do so that there's no confusion when you leave. And that's the number one thing we want to accomplish. We're going to start off by going over a variety of things that we have found are consistencies in successful marketing efforts. And the number one thing that we have found that is a consistency among successful marketing efforts is the first thing that we found is margins. We want to spend a little bit of time on that this morning, and that's why the overhead is up here. And margins are really the key to marketing and also the key to success in business. We have found so many people that overlook the importance of margins and have no idea how they relate to the profitability of a business. Margins are sacrosanct to the success of a business. And I'm going to start out by giving you a great example. Does anybody know who the richest man in the United States is? Bill Gates. Everybody knows that. It's publicized twice a year. He's a multi-billionaire. He sells software. Software is one of the greatest products in the world for margins, because all of his cost is up front in the development of the software. And once that development cost is recouped, it's almost all pure profit. Think about it, for a little packaging, $1.50, $2 worth of packaging and a 32 or 36 cent disc, I don't know what they cost, but we print up a bunch of them. He goes out and sells these products for $60, $70, $100, $200, $300, $400, and the cost in it is very, very low. And if you have products with high margins, you are closer to success because you can make mistakes, you can screw up, and you can still make an incredible profit. And that's one of the things we found is when we look at people's failures, we'll speak to somebody and they say, I buy the product for $8.72, I sell it for $19.95. Well, the only way that that product is going to work is if you have a continuity of revenue after that initial sale that gets more and more money coming back to you. And you could be the most incredible marketer in the world, but if you have a product that costs just under $9, you sell it for $19.95 or $20, you're not going to be successful unless you have other products to sell to that customer. And many people overlook this. That's one of the reasons why most multi-level companies, when you get involved with them, if you're selling a $40 product and it costs $32, it's hard to make money. You've got an $8 spread. So you can't afford to pay for advertising to generate income and make sales. And people often go home and they wonder themselves, after trying 2 or 3 or 4 different ventures, why did I fail? And one of the predominant reasons is margins. You lost before you ever started. And I want to make an indelible impression about margins to you, because many of you have had that type of experience. How many people have ever tried to sell a product with a markup of only 2 to 1? In other words, you pay $10 and you sell it for $20, okay? Just show a couple of hands. There's a lot of people. If you wondered why you failed, you were losing right from the gate. It was tough to win. And there's a lot of other people that did, but they were afraid to put up their hands. They just don't want to raise their hands at this point. And you know, the people that did were like, I don't really want to admit it, but it was really me. But a lot of people go through this experience and they're frustrated. And one of the things you're going to find as a result of going through this, you're not only going to know how to make something work, you're going to know if it doesn't work, what to do about it to make it work. or whether or not to scrap it. But the foundation that we're going to go through in the first 2 hours is going to teach you exactly where to begin to evaluate any product, service, or information so you can decide whether to move forward with a test of that particular product, service, or information. Give you another example. Oakley sunglasses. Sunglasses have amazing margins. How do they buy sunglasses?
By the pound.
They buy sunglasses by the pound. It's like a commodity. I mean, I've got a pair of Bolle sunglasses. I think I bought them because Brett Ogle wears them. And I figured, if I put them on, I'll play as good as Brett Ogle. And Mike Laurie will tell you that last Saturday that didn't happen. Mike Laurie and I played in a golf tournament. We shot about 1 million. The good news is there's people at the golf course in the place where I'm a member that are like 80. So we didn't come in last because they shot like 1,000,003. But I bought the Bolles because I know Brett Ogle and he endorses a friend of mine's company. And I figured, well, put these on. Before you know, I'll hit the ball 20 yards further, and at least I putt a little bit better than Brett Ogle. But nevertheless, the sunglass story is another example of a product. Haven't you wondered why all these sunglass companies are so successful? It's margins. It's not the sunglasses. It's margins. Eagle Eyes. Anybody ever seen the Eagle Eyes infomercial? How many people have ordered Eagle Eyes from television? They don't want to admit it. They're probably on the list. I can check with Mike Levy. But Eagle Eyes, you get 2 sunglasses for 3 payments in $19.95. I mean, the product cost on that is probably $3.50, $4. You've got a 10 or 12 to 1 margin going in. Does this demystify some of the confusion you've had about succeeding with products? It's margins. It's all margins. Give you another example. Soft drinks. Coca-Cola. Why do you think they make a lot of money? They're selling water with sugar in it. I mean, didn't you, right here. Did you ever think when you were a kid that you'd pay more for water than you do for gasoline? Okay? And I have a bad water habit. I go through like 6 of these a day. And they're $1.50, $1.50, or $1.75 to get one of these. It's water with plastic. Incredible margins. Soft drinks, the same thing. Every one of you drink water and soft drinks. Why do you think Coca-Cola's profits keep on going up as they expand around the world? They have the opportunity to succeed because of margins. Give you a couple other examples. And this is really beautiful. How many people have heard the radio commercial for natural hairs? Anybody ever heard that? John's heard it, a couple other people. Okay, let me tell you a little story about this. This is a shampoo. You might laugh when you hear this. There's a fellow in our office, and I was walking through our office a couple weeks ago, and he has, and don't take this offensively if you're balding or you are bald, but he had a little peach fuzz on his head, and I kind of rubbed his head, and he says, "Hey, my hair's growing back." I said, "Okay, I want to hear this story." So when you're getting close to 40, you start to think about these things, even if they aren't a problem right now. You start to, maybe that's going to happen to me soon. But at any rate, I said, "Well, how's your hair growing back?" He says, "Hey, I heard a radio commercial, and I bought natural hairs." Now, we know the company that sells natural hairs. They don't make it, but they sell it. This is shampoo that when you clean your hair, or your bald scalp, it's supposed to embed into your head and get the dirt out of your head, which allows to free up. And it's a great story. I don't know. I haven't used it. But at any rate, he'd been using it for 4 weeks, and he's got this peach fuzz, and he was bald as a cue ball before that. And he says, "Hey, this product, is incredible." Well, they sell the product. They sell a bottle about 2/3 the size of this, I think for like $39. And they sell you on a 3-month plan to get started. And of course, they tell you really need 3 months, just like Rogaine or Minoxidil or any of those, to really get going on it and make sure that it works. And that's another example of a low-cost product with high margins. And we'll get into markets in just a moment and why it relates to that. But you think about that. Here's a low-cost product that everybody wants to buy that has that problem, but it's got a high margin. Give you another example. Cereal. One time I'm watching Donahue, and all these really upset farmers in the Midwest are chastising all the cereal companies because the cost of cereal in a box of generic cornflakes, for instance, is about 4 cents for the product. Now, if you go to the store, if you've ever been to the store with kids, they want every cereal because they see all the ads. But the cereals are $2 and $3, sometimes $4. Product cost on these things is peanuts. The guy who manufactured the product didn't make the money. The guy who's marketing it did. Once again, margins. Another example is candies. I mean, when you go and see candies in the store, they're very, very inexpensive to make, but they bring back a lot more as far as margins. The next place we want to move to right now is markets. And I spoke just a moment about shampoo that grows hair, but the fact is that most people that are out there offering a product don't think about the market that's interested in their product before they begin. They don't step back and realize that the best things to offer are what people want to buy. I'm going to say that one more time because you'll probably figure it out in the next few days. Sell what people want to buy. Don't get emotionally involved with a product just because you think it's a neat idea. How many people have done that before? I'll give you a story. I'm reading a few years ago about a couple of guys, and they decided it would be neat to supply a service while people are watching professional golf tournaments where they could broadcast the scores of the players to people walking around live at the golf tournament. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to a golf tournament before, but one, you don't really go to walk around and expect to see a lot of golf. There's just too many people, and usually they're 5 inches taller than me. I'm not there first when I'm trying to see them. So the only way you're going to see some golf is to park yourself at a hole. But the last thing I want to do when I go to a golf tournament is have a transmitter in my ear with an earpiece to find out the golf scores when I'm sitting right next to the leaderboard. I don't care. Well, consequently, these guys go out and start a company, they plunk millions of dollars into it, and after 3 years of making no money, guess what? They realize no one wants to buy what we're selling. And typically, one of the things that we see with people is that they get so itchy to start their own business, and they've built up some capital, and especially when they're in their mid to late 40s, early 50s, they finally say, I've had it, I've got a nest egg, I'm going to start a business, and they don't test first to find out if people want to buy what they have to sell. And they plunk down all the money into that business without ever testing. They risk everything, and I've said this before, and many of you have heard me say it. It's very easy to spend money. When you leave here, you'll know exactly how to make it, step by step. But a lot of people that get into business are extremely good at spending money before they ever create revenue. And then all of a sudden they're out of money, and they go, oh my God, what do I do now? There's no one coming in and giving me money. Sell what people want to buy. It's extremely important. I'll give you a good example, is that if you turn on the television, if you watch infomercials, if you go out and watch the Home Shopping Network, QVC, I mean, you're going to leave here and you'll know specific products that you can offer, very specific ones. But if you didn't, and you wanted to find out great products to offer, and you're too lazy to go to the library, and we'll tell you what to do by going to the library in just a moment, but if you turn on QVC or Home Shopping Network or infomercials, you'll start to see what people want to buy. And what we're giving you this morning is the common traits that are sacrosanct to each one of these successful offers and these 5 elements. And we've gone over margins, but markets you will see by watching television without even leaving your home what people want to buy. You want to plunk yourself down in front of QVC or Home Shopping Network for a day, you'll find out a lot of products that people want to buy. And you know what? All of them have good margins. That's why these companies grew to over $2 billion in sales instantly. And they're all products that people want to buy. It's always easier to sell what people want to buy. I'll give you a great example. People usually get a security system, or often get a security system, and they're certainly the easiest sales once their home's been broken into. Just bought a new home, and 6 years ago I found out after I closed that the home had been broken into. And there was an art theft. And I went to get the security alarm serviced as far as hooking it up and getting it monitored, and they said this is the most ornate security system in this area. There's no one that has a more complex, I mean, I got lasers and all, I can be running around in my underwear and all of a sudden set this thing off. But this is an incredibly ornate system. Thousands upon thousands of dollars were invested in this after there was a burglary. There was art theft, and then they throw in this incredible system. You know what it's like to try to sell a security system to someone that doesn't think they're going to get robbed? They don't think they need it. They don't want to buy it. People want to buy solutions. People want easy solutions to their common problems. One of the easiest things that you can say to people in copy, whether it's TV, radio, print, direct mail, over the phone, is once you've identified that they have a problem and you're selling what the market wants to buy, and they've inquired about a solution to their problem, if they don't take advantage of the solution, you can always turn it back to them and say, hey, if you don't do this, what are you going to do? I mean, you've heard me say that before on television. Many of you bought because of that. Because I told you, if you don't do this, what are you going to do? You're watching for a reason. Well, it's the same thing when you're offering a common solution to a problem that many people have. They want a solution. When you're selling a product where the people don't yet want or need the solution, you're working uphill. I mean, life insurance is a lot tougher to sell when someone's healthy. I can tell you right now that when people get to the point where they really want life insurance, many of them aren't insurable because they waited too long. There's a lot of people that go into nursing homes that would love to have nursing home insurance, but they can't get it because they don't have the health, because when they were 62, they never thought they'd go to a nursing home. You get the point? Sell what people want to buy. Step back and ask yourself, why do people want to buy this? Does it solve a common problem? And don't fall in love with an idea just because you think it's a neat idea. Test the market first. One of the saddest things that we see is when we speak to someone that has invested their life savings, $50, $60, $100, $200, $400, $500,000, and they start a business and they put it in a location that's the wrong location, or they have the wrong business or a combination thereof, and it doesn't work and they lose all their money. They're wiped out. And they had this entrepreneurial urge, but they didn't first find out if the market wanted to buy what they're selling. He said, I'm watching QVC, you got to turn this on. And they were selling a doctor's book of all types of home remedies and types of things you can do to make your body feel better and cure diseases and all these other things. And it was the magic pill. I mean, this guy was bringing up everything you could imagine. He's bringing up every common problem that we all have. So everybody watching QVC could relate. He hit the entire audience. He threw out all kinds of problems and all kinds of solutions within 5 minutes. Phones blew up. It's paper. He's selling paper with some printed stuff on it. Okay? He's got a product that costs about $2. They're selling it for $49. A book for $49. $2, $49. Another example of high margins. Jewelry. You ever gone out, bought jewelry, and said to myself, gee, gold is trading at $388.50 an ounce today. And here's a piece of jewelry that has, one 1/1000th of an ounce. It's $249. And it's a deal, and it's right now on QVC. Another great example. One of the interesting things with chemicals, too, is it's hard to have an assimilation of value. In other words, there's certain chemicals that are unique, and people don't say, like toothpaste, if you go out and you get toothpaste, and you say, well, this toothpaste costs $2, Crest costs $2, and Colgate costs $2.10, there's an assimilation of value. You understand, correspondingly, similar values. So it would be very hard to sell a tube of toothpaste for $9.95 unless the first time you used it and brushed your teeth, your teeth were instantly white, which I came across a type of toothpaste like that a couple of years ago, but we were involved with too many other things and we couldn't get involved with that. But that's a good example where something would have to have a much higher perceived value to be sold. But with chemicals, often there's something very unique that they do. And because it's unique, it's hard to correspond it to other products. So you can charge incredible prices for it and get large margins. So it's not uncommon to take a product that costs $1 and sell it for $49, provided that the benefit is not found someplace else in solving the problem. Give you a couple more examples. I'm sure that you see magazine offers on television. Tons of them. And you've heard me talk before about the Sports Illustrated ads, and they sell the bonus first, but the fact is that what magazine publishers are interested in is increasing their circulation base so they can charge more for advertising. That's their number one interest, is charging more for advertising. They don't make as much profit from subscriptions, but what they want to do in the first year, just like record clubs and health clubs and certain other offers where it's a very low-cost startup, is they want to get you in and move you in because they know that the long-term value of you continuously renewing, and they know the exact amount of people that will renew, they know that that long-term value is going to transcend into long-term profits. And it might be month 27 when they break even on you, but they know that you're there for 84 months. Does this answer your question as far as more examples of margins? They're everywhere. You guys should be thinking about all the products that are out there that are low-cost, high perceived value. Chris McKnight is here, and Chris you'll get to meet. Chris is an interesting guy. He's a kickboxer. So people that know Chris know he's a pretty interesting guy. He's from Canada. He's single. He's materialistic. Now, Chris and I, we recently did an interview, and it was really kind of funny. Mike McMillan will like this. I got to tell this story because it's a horror story, but they've already been through it. These guys are coming down to see us, and they get stuck in customs for like 8 hours. And a dog walks up to Mike McMillan, who you'll also meet, and he takes a real shine to Mike. And Mike looks at Chris. He says, "Hey, Chris, look at here. This dog likes me." That's really Chris speaking, but I don't do Mike. But at any rate, the dog's all over him, and the next thing you know, he's strip searched. So that's an interesting start to a trip, Welcome to the United States. We're going to strip search you. So on the way back, Chris ends up sleeping in the airport. Chris and Mike are sleeping in some detention center or something. I mean, they're criminals by now. And as he's sleeping, he wakes up the next day, gets on the plane. He's lost all of his identification. I still don't know how he got back to Canada. I think he begged to get back in, but he had to stay an extra day before we sent him back. But the whole point here is that Chris sells a product that he buys for $125, sells for $12.50. 10-to-1 margin. It's information. It's information that's obviously worth $12.50. $1,250, which in Canada is $5,000. That's a joke for all the Canadians. Or people that are going to Canada anytime soon. But he's selling a product that has a high perceived value. It's paper. Once again, margins. Margins, 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 margins. You don't have to know as much about marketing as you have to know about margins. As you just saw there, if you have a 5-to-1 margin, and your ad cost is about 35% of your total sale, every dollar you put in each week brings back $1. Now, if I said to you today, you could go to a bank and get 100% on your money, guaranteed every week, how many of you would go to the bank with me? Those of you that wouldn't, 200% a week. But the point is if you had that type of offer, you'd go crazy. You'd go, wow, that's incredible. I can take $500 and every week I get $500 back. And it compounds week after week after week after week. Well, you know what? You'll be able to go to that bank in a couple of days. You'll be able to do that step by step if you follow the 5 steps I'm talking about this morning and then combine them with the other things that we'll be going over throughout the day and also tomorrow. The other thing that I touched on just a moment ago is solve problems. Solve problems. Don't prevent problems. Products, services, or information that prevent problems are harder to sell than those that solve problems. Much harder. I gave you the example of the security alarm. It's an easy sale after you've been robbed. Anybody ever had their car stolen or home broken into? Okay. Terrible. No, it's a terrible feeling. About 8 years ago, it was New Year's Day, and I walked out to get in my car, and my car was gone. And, I said to myself, well, geez, because it's New Year's Day, I said, where did I park my car? And I started wondering to myself, where's my car? And I'm walking, and I've got a long T-shirt on, I've got my underwear on, the neighbors are looking out the window going, what's going on here? And I'm running around going, let's see where, it's like you lost your keys, but it's bigger. You're looking around, where's my car? Where's my car? And I can't find my car, and I realized it was stolen, and up to that point, Now to this day, I mean, I'm so conscious about locking my car. You know, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And the funny story of this happened, we used to live in Charlotte, North Carolina. And this happened in Charlotte. And, you know, I had 30 days to get my car back, or for them to find it, before the insurance would pay off. So on the 28th day at 4:30 in the morning, Saturday morning, I get a call from a police officer who's getting off of work at 7. He just decided to call me at 4:30 in the morning. He says, "Hey, we found your car." And I'm like, "Oh, you know, what great news." You know, I can just imagine. And then he tells me, it's 4:30 in the morning, he's told me they found the car. And he tells me, he says, "Well, we found the car, but, you know, the guys that stole it, you know, really kind of trashed it." And I'm like, "Oh, what a surprise." You know, these guys had been four-wheeling in the car, and how they caught them is these guys were going through a field, so the suspension was totally wiped out in the car. And they pull these guys over. These guys were renting my car out on a daily basis. And it really upset me, because I get in the back seat of the car, and we used to go to a lot of Charlotte Hornets games because it was the inaugural season. It was a lot of fun. And I get in the back of the car, and they had those, you know, if you've ever been to an NBA game, they have those, like, you know, big gulp beers, you know, the 94 ounce, you drink one and, you know, it lasts you the halftime. They had two of these giant beer glasses in the back of my car, and the car smelled like beer, and, you know, they'd gone to the same game that I'd gone to. So their ticket stubs are in. So, but for 28 days, I'm driving around looking for, you know, when your car gets stolen, you're really looking for it. I mean, you're driving around the street, is that my car? You turn around, that's my car right there, you know. And I couldn't find it. And these guys actually went to the same basketball game. But the point is that after that, I was so conscious of the problem that it was really important to me. And now it's very, very important to me to make sure my car is locked no matter where I am. And, you know, it's got an alarm that'll just go crazy. And every one of you that have gone through the experience of being robbed or having your car stolen, security is now very important to you. Those that haven't been through it, it's not that important to them. It really isn't. And so solving that common problem that people have is the easiest thing to do when you know that they don't have any other solution to that problem and they're looking for it. It comes back to selling what people want to buy. And I talked about the hair shampoos that make you grow hair. And there's another one called Nioxin or something that's sold through beauty salons, and that's also a very high margin product. But, you know, you look, if you want to turn on the television, get another example, how many infomercials are there for hair transplants? How many print ads? How many newspaper ads? You can't pick up a newspaper across the country and not see an ad for hair transplants. Any major city, you're going to see an ad for hair transplants. You're going to turn on the TV and see people getting infomercials for hair transplants. It's a high-margin product. Cosmetic surgery, another one. What, you know, if I were a doctor today, I mean, the heck with, you know, working in the hospital or anything, I mean, I'd be doing plastic surgery. You know, okay, we'll take care of that. High margin. Why? People want to buy the product. They don't care about the cost. The cost now becomes irrelevant. They just want a solution. As long as you can show them a value and that they're going to get what they pay for, the cost now becomes a non-issue. You know, when you sell commodity products, the margins, as far as profit is concerned, are much lower. Why? They're commodities. Anybody can get them. I mean, Frank Perdue was one of the few geniuses that's alive in America today when it comes to marketing. This guy figured out that if I feed my chickens a certain type of feed, they'll be a different color, which is more appetizing to someone going through the grocery store buying chicken. I mean, do you want to buy a white, ugly chicken, or do you want to buy one that looks like Frank Perdue's? It's all presentation. He just fed his chickens a different type of feed. He sold you what you wanted to buy. He separated from the normal commodities because the packaging and the look of the product was much better. That's why he charges more money. You think he makes more margin than the other chicken manufacturers? Absolutely. Absolutely. But the margin is the key, along with solving the problem.